time. It's our time, my friends. Time for millions of maturepreneurs, 55 plus, who are hashtag not done by a long shot, to revolutionize how we lead, do business, and innovate our world. I'm your host, Jannette Anderson, and welcome to my conversations with fascinating people who would rather inspire than retire. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Maturepreneur Podcast. I'm your hostess, Jannette Anderson, and today I have two fascinating women with me, Erica Beard and Karen Wagner. I remembered. And they are coming to us from New York, yes?
Yep.
All right. Just in case you guys suddenly went on holiday or something. And they are the co-founders of Luster. Today, we're going to be talking about retirement with attitude, which these two personify. So it's going to be a fun conversation. Welcome, ladies. I'm so glad you're here.
We're glad to be here. Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome. You have that fascinating light behind you, Karen. It must be like the street light coming in through the blinds or something. It's really neat. You look like you've got lightning bolts coming out of your head.
I do actually. So
there you go. All right. So today we're going to not do a formal bio. They're going to be in the show notes, but the short version is both high-powered lawyers for 4 decades, co-founders of Luster. There we go. That's the short version. But tell us a little bit about yourselves so we can get to know you, and specifically tell me one thing about you that people wouldn't guess.
Well, to start with that, I think one thing people would not guess looking at me, that the first thing I did after I retired was get a pilot's license.
I love it. That's awesome. So
you didn't guess that, did you?
No, I did not. So you fly small planes? Is that what you did?
I learned how to fly small planes. I don't do much of it anymore, but that's what I did. I got a license. My son was flying learning at the same time. So it was just a wonderful part of my life.
That's so cool. It's still on my list. So that's awesome.
Excellent.
Okay.
Good. Do it.
And Erica, how about you?
I guess most people don't know that I'm the oldest of 6.
6? Holy cow. So did you have to do all the work and be the mom and take care of everybody?
No, I was the boss.
The boss. And that just carried on through life, didn't it?
No, yes. I just learned how to be a boss early.
Yes. There you go. Okay. So we are talking about retirement with attitude. So when did you know you weren't done? So you were lawyers, you worked hard, you worked a lot of hours, especially if you're in a, high pressure firm in New York, worked your way to the top, not easy to do. Why not retire? When did you know you weren't done?
Well, we both retired because we had come to a point in our careers where it was their thing to do. So we did it. But shortly before we retired, we connected and we said, well, we have all these wonderful skills and all this experience, and we know how to do all kinds of things. We didn't want to keep practicing law, but we wanted to do other things. And we said, well, we're going to offer our services to all kinds of people, and they're going to love us, and we're going to have a really good time, and everything will be wonderful. Mm-hmm. And we went through that process, and finally we came to a nonprofit that we loved the purpose of the nonprofit. And we said, well, this is what we can do for you. It was a specific defined project. We were going to do it for free. It was going to take a defined period of time, so they didn't have to worry that we'd be senile by the end of it. And we said, that's what we're going to do. And the executive director said, that is just fabulous. We love that. And then she went to her board, and the board said, we don't know where to put them in the organization chart, so tell them no. And we said to ourselves, well, this is just ridiculous. Why, given all of our experience, it's quite weird that nobody would want us to help. Yeah. And so that's when we started to realize people just don't understand this new group of women that's here now, that has worked for a long time, and that also will be around for a long time, and that is healthier and better equipped to do things than we were 100 years ago. And
Mhm.
so we decided to found Luster to put us on the map.
Mm. Okay, awesome.
I would say for me, it was kind of, it's actually funny because I worked in a place that when you made partner, you kind of figured out, they told you what your expected retirement date. And though that was not exactly my retirement date, I worked quite a bit longer. It was always in the future. You knew what was coming, but not for me. I buried my head in the sand. I don't know what I did. I ignored it.
Mm.
On the other hand, I think I knew that I would never retire because nobody in my family had ever retired. That was the generation of people that had worked for themselves, even if they were lawyers or in industry or whatever they were. Nobody retired. They all worked till they were in their 80s. So I think I never had a vision of what it would be like to play golf if I played golf, which I don't, or had a hobby, which I don't. But I don't think that, so I think it was kind of always in my head that I would do something.
Hmm. And so, how did you two come upon Luster? What was the impetus behind that, and or the need that you saw?
Well, we were sitting in a park one day actually having a sandwich for lunch, and we started talking and we said somehow we have to convey to people, all people, our people as well as everyone who's not us, who we are and what we look like, and the fact that we are actually not interested in being in rocking chairs for the rest of our lives. And also, we're going to be here for a very long time. And so one of us said to the other, well, let's do a blog. And the
Mm.
other one said, okay, what is a blog? And that's kind of where we started. And then we did some research, figure out what a blog was, and talked to some nice young men
Yeah.
about creating a website and doing a blog. And we wondered, are these nice young men going to have any idea what we're even talking about? And they all, to a person, said to us, our mothers would love this.
Mm.
And that's when we knew we were onto something.
I
Okay.
think the thing that kind of the post sitting on a bench thing
Hmm.
is kind of, we did a deep dive as lawyers do into kind of the research of saying what is going on. Why are the only two people, women, older women that we see out there are Jane Fonda and Helen Mirren, and they're both working.
Right.
So where are we in
Yeah.
all of this? And what dawned on us over time was that actually it was that we were invisible, but we were invisible because we were hidden behind old images of what older women, who they were and what they were doing. It
Right.
wasn't like even people knew we were there. We were the first demographic, and you're part of that, so
Hmm.
of women that started to work and actually stayed until retirement
Yeah.
and now are looking for something different. So we were just all new. Everything was new and nobody had really defined us. So we kind of said, we need to define it for ourselves. We defined ourselves in the workforce in the 70s.
Hmm.
We came in our little gray suits with our little bow ties and we looked like little men and we were mini me's until we said that doesn't work for us. And we started wearing orange suits and high heels and all the things that made us happy. In the same way, we had to show us now who we are
Hmm.
and make ourselves be, as Karen said, on the map, put ourselves on the map because nobody was going to do it for us. So that's kind of the story.
I am curious. I was going to ask this earlier, and certainly is my bias showing, but did the when you were in your law firms, was the expectation of retirement age the same for the male partners and the male lawyers as it was for the women?
It
Yes.
was,
Was
yes,
it?
it
Okay.
was.
I
Yes.
was curious whether or not that was the case because you see a lot of gray-haired lawyers, men. You don't, I don't see a lot of older women that are in the law firms as much.
Well,
So I was
one reason for that is there weren't that many women
Yeah.
who would now be gray haired.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And so tell people what luster is. What is it? What are you a stand for? So you've kind of talked a bit about the issues, but what do you stand for?
Well, we have a website, we have newsletters, we have events. What we are trying to do is show people visually and also speak in writing and speaking to show who we actually are.
Hmm.
That we are a new breed of people, that we have a lot of energy, that we have a lot of interests, that we have a lot of resources, and we want to remain part of the world.
Yeah.
So that's what and if you don't let us remain part of the world, we're going to get sick and die and cost you a whole lot of money for Medicare. And so
Yeah.
don't do that. Just use us. It's
Yeah.
really much cheaper that way. And also we'll all have more fun. So
Yes,
that's really the
absolutely.
whole point of it, is to say, that's the advocacy part of it. And
Hmm.
then for our members, we give them a lot of information about various things relevant to our demographic. We have events where people get together.
Hmm.
Erica, you might want to talk about our most recent big event.
Yeah, I think our mission is also the bringing together the community of women that feel as we do,
Hmm.
that they want more from the next 30 years of their lives, right?
Hmm.
And they want to take down whatever barriers or prejudices or stereotypes that would get in the way of doing that.
Hmm.
So we know we can't do this ourselves,
Right.
right? But we can do it if we all come together. So the heart of Luster is really bringing together those women that are many millions of us that um, worked for decades, really, and
Yeah.
are at this point in our lives to say to all of them, look, this is weird. This
Hmm.
new thing that's happening to us. You're not alone. We all
Yeah.
feel weird about it. We've never been in this position before, but
Yeah.
we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together. And together we will, as Karen said, make ourselves seen, make ourselves known, make the corporate, political, all the industrial complex see us as we want to be seen.
Yeah, amen, sister. Because as I don't know, I forget if I told you to this before when we talked that Maturepreneur World came out of the fact that I got pissed off on a business cruise, marketers cruise, and I was at a dinner table. There was like a number of incidences of being dismissed and overlooked that happened to me personally, and I was surprised because I typically don't get overlooked. I'm pretty, present and loud and in charge. And we were at a dinner table with an eight top, and there was two gray-haired ladies at the far end, and I was at the other end, and everyone was talking to everyone except no one was talking to them. And so I shouted down, "Hey, how are you two?" The two people across from them literally went like this. They literally had not seen them. They were invisible. And that just incensed me so much that I was like, okay, that's it. My business is changing. My focus is changing. That cannot happen. It's not okay. Even now, I get like goosebumps and I get so adrenaline rush. It's just like, no. And it's so stupid. It's when we are at our very most resourceful, rich, intelligent, emotionally intelligent, intellectually intelligent, calmest generally, um, and we'll say grounded. How about grounded?
Grounded
Um,
is good, yes.
yeah. And so that's part of why, I started it. And I hear the same thing for you. A lot of who you focus on is professional women, right? Women who've been predominantly in corporate, who've worked their whole lives in some kind of role or capacity. And now they're transitioning, but so I believe uh, Maturepreneur World is all about advocating for ending ageism through entrepreneurship, because frankly, I think ageism is still alive and well in corporate America and actually corporate globally. So you can't get hired. And certainly not, maybe as a barista, but good luck trying to get hired at a reasonable position. And so really the only option is entrepreneurship. What was the challenge for you in making the transition from corporate to entrepreneurship?
Well,
Okay, Erica, go for it.
Oh my God, I have to say, it was a shock to our systems. I mean, first of all, we have one skill, and that is we're really good lawyers. and we're really good crisis managers. I should say it's not one skill, but one bucket of skills.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? We didn't run a business, we didn't run a P&L, we didn't run anything. We had people.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
had lots of people. And
And
those
nobody did any
people,
marketing in our world.
Yeah.
we didn't sell, we didn't do anything. So that shock was huge.
Yeah.
Then we had to learn a whole bunch of stuff. Like if you had told us what SRO or use an acronym that is
Yeah.
part of your life, Jannette, we
FDL.
had no idea what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Half the meetings we would have would be to say, could you tell us what that is, please? Could you tell us what that is, please?
Yep.
So it was a huge shock to be making decisions. So we made a ton of bad ones, I've got to say.
Mhm.
About things that we knew nothing about. We were extremely comfortable
Mhm.
making decisions for big decisions about things that we know something about.
Yeah.
But not feeling grounded in that world and having to, that was the first. The second thing, and I'll be quick and then
Okay.
scared, is we're not used to talking about ourselves.
Yeah.
We became lawyers because we like to be the people behind
Yeah.
the person, right? And making that person or that company or whatever it was great.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden somebody said, talk about yourself. And we went, oh no. So
Yep.
that was a huge shock. Oh, we're not over it.
We're not
By
over
the way,
it.
folks, they've been at this for 10 years. They
Yes.
started Fluster 10 years ago. And I'm laughing not at you, but with you, because this is such a common problem, especially the self-promotion piece, because most people who come out of corporate, like you said, didn't have to do that. And especially as women, we're raised to, not put yourself forward, who you think you are, don't get too big for your britches, all that BS. And so we're socialized to not be seen and heard in a way that's effective. And all of a sudden we have to sell and market. Oh my God, oh my God. A, what is that? B, how do I do it? And C, you mean me? And that's a big transition for a lot of people. How was it for you, Karen?
Oh, it was dreadful. Yes, just dreadful. But it was sort of nuts. But one thing that has been part of our journey almost really from the beginning, which has been wonderful,
Yeah.
is that we couldn't have done anything that we have done like this without the help of younger people.
Yeah.
And those younger people were instrumental in answering the questions that Erica posed, like what is SEO? What are we doing here? What is a website? What is a blog?
Yeah.
So that was critical. But the thing that did happen was they began to realize too that we, who were much older than they, and we didn't know anything about, the digital world really, but we knew a lot of other things about making judgments, about how you make life choices of one sort or another, and about all kinds of things. And it became ultimately, usually, an exchange of information,
Mhm.
which was very delightful and really helped us out. And
Yeah.
so I think the initial, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
we got over it and they helped us get over it. And although we still don't really love talking about ourselves, we are very familiar now with doing that and talking about what we've done. We would not have 10 years ago at the outset said, yeah, we're entrepreneurs. We would not have said that.
Yeah.
We had a passion, we had a mission, that's what we were going to do. And it turned into that. And it's kind of fabulous, as you know.
Yes, yes, it has. Well, it has its days. It has
Yes.
its, or maybe it's hours or minutes.
Maybe it's minutes, but at least it has some of that.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the thing that you learned that surprised you the most about yourself in this journey?
I think the thing that I learned mostly was that I could actually change what I did with my days so drastically and learn something new and something so gratifying.
Mm.
I mean, if somebody had told me 10 years ago, you're really going to enjoy being an entrepreneur in the digital world, I would have said, go have another martini.
Yeah.
But in fact, it's really been fun. And we have met so many wonderful people, young
Yeah.
people, older people, all kinds of people. And it's just, I have been I have learned what a big world there is out there, and
Mhm.
how if you put yourself out into it in a way that I would not have, 30 years ago,
Mhm.
I will meet them. And that's something I've learned that I have really enjoyed.
That's very cool. And I'm going to get to you in just a second, Erica, but you mentioned the intergenerational piece before, and again now that really helped a lot with by young people. Two things I want to say. One, there's lots of older people out there who know these skills and have this ability as well. Um,
Yes.
and not as many as the younger people, but there's lots and more coming in. So that's available to people. But there's also such a wealth, like you said, of exchange of energy and ideas and so forth when working with different generations. I'm reading a book right now called Five Generations at Work, and it is the first time in history when we have five generations in one workplace, and soon to be six. So it's really um, there's great balance. Young people bring to innovation a blank slate. They don't know what they don't know. We bring contextual framing and understanding. And when you put those two together, they're extremely powerful because the contextual understanding can just be taking the past and throwing it on the future. The blank slate, you can create all sorts of shit that's not going to work. But put the two together, it's extremely powerful. So I think it's wonderful that that's one of the big takeaways for you is that there is this great synergy and synergistic possibility when you work with people from different cultures, different ages, different, perspectives. It's awesome. Erica, what did you learn about yourself?
I think that Karen probably wouldn't agree with this. I think I'm more flexible in who I am than I thought I would be. I thought I was a fully formed being.
Mhm.
Um, and this is my persona. I had a pretty big one. Karen had a pretty big one. This is who we were in our worlds.
Yeah,
And that I could change that, not in every way for sure,
yeah.
but in some ways was interesting
That's
to me.
it's beautiful because basically what it says is that you don't have a fixed mindset, you have a growth mindset. I think that's so critical to staying happy and healthy and being able to reinvent and to not say, this is who I am, therefore I can't do something different. So that's brilliant. So congratulations on that. Uh, what's the biggest um, thing you're grateful for in terms of this process and that you would tell people, this is what I gave me. You've mentioned some things already, but this what are you grateful for in this journey?
I would say I'm grateful for two things. I think one is our friendship has really it has made it um it's made a difference. I don't think either one of us think we could have done this ourselves, but
Mhm.
the ability to have somebody to talk to, whether it's about luster or if something adjacent or whatever, it has been an absolute miracle in one sense, but also a gift in an enormous gift. And if anybody's thinking about entrepreneurship, I highly recommend that you do it with somebody else that you feel simpatico with. I think
Mm.
that's the first piece of it. I think the second piece of it is to care deeply about other women in a way that was different than the way we could care in the workplace. Karen and I were both fairly aggressive. Um, I don't want to say feminist because that's not really what I mean, but supporters of women in the workplace, the diversity of it, the different perspectives we bring, the value proposition, I guess that's what I would say. The value proposition of women, and we were huge supporters of promotions of women and all those things.
Yep.
But now to be able to be there and create something for a whole new group of women that are articulate and grateful about what they've been able to get from this exercise, that, they found their tribe, or they found a place that they feel comfortable is, I'm grateful that we did it. I'm grateful that we stuck by it. And I'm grateful that it makes us feel like we're doing something that's important. And that piece I'm very grateful for as well.
Yeah, making a difference.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. And Karen, how about you?
Well, I would certainly echo the point of being Erica's partner has been really interesting. Erica and I are very, very different people.
Mm,
And that has been really wonderful. I mean,
mhm,
we see things differently, we have different reactions, and it's been really interesting as well as quite joyful to just work through all these things with each other.
mhm,
And I'm just really grateful that there's this big world out there. And once you get over that first reaction of, oh my God, what am I going to do now that I'm retired? And you start doing something, which we
mhm.
started doing, everybody out there who you talk to pretty much is going to help. If you say, look, I really want to learn about this, can you help me with this? Everybody says yes. And it's been very life affirming. People have been very supportive and very productive and really nice to us about this whole project. And so I'm very grateful to all of those people.
That's beautiful. A couple more things. I could talk to you ladies all day, but
You know,
yeah, Erica, you said, it was a big transition to go from being a high-powered lawyer in New York. There's all sorts of identity that comes with that, that is wrapped up in that. And one of the biggest challenges, I think we actually have an identity crisis going on globally because there are so many boomers and Gen Xers that are coming out of roles, and we have been taught that our role is our purpose, that that is who we are. And when we no longer have that role, there's people going through all sorts of identity crisis. It's creating mental health issues, etc. That's why 1 in 3 people struggle with retirement because and have mental health issues. What was the process for you of redefining who you were when you weren't a lawyer? How was that identity transition for you?
I think it's a really, Jeanette, it's a really important question because I think the, identity piece of retirement and this, especially for women,
Mhm,
we worked so hard for those titles that we kind of clung to them and they became so much a part of who we are and how we face the world. They were kind of our armor in a
mhm,
way, this is who I am, this is what I've accomplished. I think for me, when I thought about my career, the thing that I loved about it the most was the people that said that I helped them in profound ways, that I fixed a problem that they thought was not fixable, that I made something that they thought was life-threatening, not life-threatening, that whatever it was that was so huge for them, I made it better. It was the people part of it and the institution that they were a part of, that because I was an inside counsel, but the all those things were the things that meant the most to me. Wasn't it was the thing that made the most difference. And so when I thought about I call it reinvention, though I don't think it's totally reinvention, my identity now, I thought that's the core of who I am. With whether it's my family, my friends, or the world, it's that I really do care about the people that I care about.
mhm,
And so, and the people adjacent to those people. And so if I could make a difference, then I would continue, I would still be me,
mhm,
just in a different kind of way, if that
mhm.
makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Karen, how about for you? How was that identity issue?
It was quite hard. I identified very powerfully with being a lawyer, and I loved being a lawyer, and I loved walking into a room and saying, I am so and so. And I thought my identity was based on being a lawyer in a way that I couldn't quite imagine how I could change that.
Mm,
And it took me a little while to realize that I could, that there were other things that I could learn and other ways in which I could be useful and other ways in which I could be intellectually challenged and other ways that I could make a difference in the world. And it took me a while to figure that out. And finally I did. And that's when, and it was, we started this process before I had totally figured it out, but I've got it now. And I'm very, very grateful, actually, to have been given a bit of a push, go out and figure out something else to do. I
Mm,
also, when I retired, because I'm just totally ignorant, I had no idea that I had a 30-year runway ahead of me. Once I
yeah,
learned that, I said, okay, now
yeah.
that's like a third of my life. I'm going to
Yep.
do something different and positive and purposeful, and I'm going to figure out what it is.
Yes. And you may feel silly saying that, but that is pervasive. People don't recognize we've got another third of our life. And that's a long time to think
Sure
about.
is.
So maybe it's only 10 years for some, but it's going to be 30, 40 years for others. And that's a long time to figure out, and certainly way too long to just watch Netflix and knit or golf or whatever, play pickleball. So what I hear in both of your reflections is that you went back to the core of who you were, what I call your why. Rather than what you were doing, you went to why you were doing it. And I think that is essential for us to know our why we do what we do, why we are being who we're being. And so, Erica, you said it lovely in terms of the core of who I am is wanting to help people. I just refocused it in a different area. And Karen, you said the same thing. And also that it was really important for you to find challenge and to be useful. And so when we recognize that core of who we are and what we want to need, and that it can still be applied in other areas, then it's the why gets lived into just in a different way. And we let go of the what of it is who we are and is where our value comes from. It's just being expressed in a new and different way. Um, and both of you have talked about making a difference to the people and the connectedness of the group. So I just want to bring it back to Luster for a minute. Um, I think that one of the things that we're missing a lot in in the world in general is connectedness, and certainly COVID, kind of exacerbated that. And we still are kind of trying to figure out how to be human together again. Um, the good news of it is it truly turned us into a global, world where we're connected literally in every way to people all around the world all the time now. And yet, I think we have less community and less feeling of belonging in many ways than we have had in the past. So groups like Luster can provide that. What I found is that it's challenging to get our demographic to join communities. It's the number one thing they need, and they all are being lone wolves. Don't do it myself, damn it. And it's like, what the hell? Like, seriously. So what's your experience of that, Ben? And why do you think that is?
Well, we have had the same experience,
Yeah.
and I think it is when we were starting out in the world, we did have a community of women because there were so few of us. But at the same time, we did a lot of what we did all by ourselves because there were so few of us. And we're used to that. And we're used to being alone. And I would be in court often and I'd be the only woman in court.
Yeah.
And, we're just used to that. Um, but I must say, I think things are changing. We just had a conference here in New York City this spring. We brought women together and we weren't had to listen to very high-end speakers, and it was really interesting, but I was just surprised at the joy emanating from the people in the room. They were
Mhm.
so happy to be together,
Mhm.
and it was palpable. You could sense it, and it was just delightful. And so I think you're completely right. Especially post-COVID, we all forgot how to be community human beings, and
Mhm.
we're learning again. And this was really a treat. And it gave me hope that we will all get to that point now where we will see that community is critical and we need to get together.
Yeah.
I think the other barrier, not to be, and somebody said this, Karen, at our conference, that there's a sense that of this demographic particularly, that you have to do everything well,
Hmm.
right? I mean, we were the kids that got the A's, and then we, did that for a lot of years. And that if you're not doing retirement well at the moment, or you're not doing whatever it is that whatever stage you're in, you're not doing it well, you feel like you don't really have anything to add, or you're not a valuable, you don't want to put yourself out there. And I think a lot of the women that we've been able to over time connect to saying that's exactly why you should be here. That is the why, right? Because all that's wrong, right? Because everybody's going through this. It's just it's another journey. We didn't know what we were doing when we started out in the workforce and we still showed up, right? So now we got to show up in a different way and we'll figure this out too because we have the problem solving skills, if nothing else.
Yeah.
We are really good problem solvers, and this is a problem we will solve. So I think I do think that there is a sense for some women, I agree totally with Karen that we're used to doing things alone. I think that's part of it. But I think there's another part that says, when we show up, it's because we're proud of ourselves, we did something well, we have something to add. And this stage of our lives, we're not so sure of any of those things. And so we retreat rather than show up. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying I think that's some of what's happening.
Well, and which is the ultimate irony, because at the stage of our lives is when we have the most to offer in so many ways.
Right.
And is the least time to be retreating, because it's when we, most need one another in many, many ways, because there is a lot to navigate in this next stage, just as there was a lot to navigate in the beginning of career or when you're being a parent for the first, all of those.
Yeah.
And we do better, and I think women in particular do better when we have other women, when we're in community with other women. And like you said, there is such a beautiful energy that comes when we get heart to heart and belly to belly that just can't be captured in other ways. And so, yeah, I too hope that we see more of that, do more of that. And then we get over this whole, I got to do it myself. I have to, I have to work hard. Therefore, that means I have to make it hard. Because if it's not hard, I have to make it hard, right? And work hard to earn and or prove my value. Oh, if you're listening to this, please let that one go. Just tell it to fuck off, because that's so not true and so not necessary, and such a waste of time, energy, and potential that could be out there making a difference, like these two lovely women. So let that go. Find community. So speaking of that, please tell us more about Luster and how people can find you and connect with you.
Well, Luster is a actual global community. It is a lot online. We have a website. We have a weekly newsletter. We publish posts every week, which address to one of two things. One is things that are where we want to make a point. Like one of our points is relevant to something you said earlier. In AI, for example, people think those nice people who are doing the AI, and as far as I can tell, risking the world doing it. If they had some of us in the room, we could put this in context in a way that would probably make sense for everybody. So let us in and do that. That's one of our advocacy points. And then we have people who speak about travel and who speak about education and speak about a lot of things. And we have pictures of ourselves. We have meetings online of the community. We have talks online. We have meetings in person. Our website allows people to meet in person wherever they are. And so both the advocacy and the community aspects are served. And so we'd love to have people join us. And we have at our conference, I was impressed, which was at 1:00 in the afternoon. It started. The first person there online was someone in Australia. And that wasn't very convenient, but obviously she wanted to be part of the community. So that was great.
That's awesome.
It was awesome.
And speaking of conferences, remind me when we get off here to talk to you about a joint conference next year, okay? So, and anything you want to add about Luster? So where can they find it? What's the website, please?
www.lustre.net.
Okay. And how did you pick the word Luster for the community, for the group?
We're just lustrous.
It took us 6 months. We went through a lot of words like Luster, but we chose Luster. Yes.
Okay. I love it. All right. Thank you so much. So I'm going to throw it back to you for one final piece of advice, just a short piece that you'd like to leave everyone with. Anything related to your learnings, your journey, what would you like to tell people if they are considering what's next for them? They might be like you, people who have been in careers their whole lives and now are going, okay, now what?
Well, one thing I would advise everybody is to not forget you have an incredible foundation. Unlike the day you started working when you didn't know anything about anything, now you know a lot about a lot of things. So that's your foundation. Jump off to something wonderful.
Great.
And don't do it alone, because doing it with other women that get you, that are on the same path, on the same road, it makes it all the more fun.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you for being here, ladies. I appreciate you. And ladies and gentlemen, as you're listening to this, gents, I know you might be feeling a little left out. That's okay. There's groups for you too. And just please pass this on to women that you know who could benefit from this. And on that note, please, everybody subscribe, like, send us some digital love. It helps other people being able to hear this and know that they too are not alone. So pitter patter, my friends, let's get at her, because if not now, then when? Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. I'd love it if you left a comment and subscribed. And I encourage you to apply one aha from this interview right away so you can turn your wisdom into wealth and your contribution into positive change. Bye for now.